yeah, in terms of all the things that you'd like to see a young player achieve from a loan, he's going about doing that.
Alex Miller, the Sheffield Star, Sheffield Wednesday correspondent. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Delighted to be back. We were just talking off air there, wasn't it? This might be the most miserable podcast ever thought. Committed to the internet, but we'll see how we get on.
Well, yeah, obviously, from a United point of view, fresh wounds from Everton last night, but sorry, it could be worse, couldn't it? So, obviously, Sheffield Wednesday, everything that's going on at Hillsborough. We last spoke start of October. Obviously, it's been fairly quiet on your beat since then. Why don't you, when you fill us in on what's happened?
I miss sleep, I can tell you that much. Yeah, look, towards the end of October, the club was put into administration by the former chairman, outgoing owner, Dave Chansiri. That was amid sort of rising pressure from HMRC and another particularly hefty bill on the ownership of the stadium, and it's a strange situation because for those sort of from the outside looking in, you attach the word administration to a football club, and it conjures up huge uncertainty, and there is that at Wednesday. But you start to wonder about the very future of the club, and job losses at the club and all this sort of thing. That hasn't happened at Sheffield Wednesday. There is a genuine optimism that they've been broken from the shackles of what Chansiri ran the club into the ground in a lot of ways in the last 10 years, and um, the return of supporters to spending, return of supporters into the ground, a anonymous £1 million interest-free loan from a Sheffield Wednesday fan. It's built a situation where Wednesday are able to sustain themselves for the period of administration, and all the words that we're hearing is that the administration is actually going quite well in terms of they've got six or seven very credible bidders in to buy the club, and sort of what you sort of wonder whether you're looking at stuff through blue tinted glasses. But if you look at the EFL and the Championship, and you look at a real opportunity for someone that wants to build a club, and a club that could eventually, with the right plan and the right investment, make it to the Premier League, I think Wednesday's a pretty viable opportunity. So yeah, look, we'll see how the next few weeks go. The administrators are hoping that a preferred bidder will be in place by the 5th of December. So then you're looking at the turn of the year, and a potential new owner being in situ, and kicking on with the January transfer window.
And in terms of on the pitch, obviously, points deduction, and it's a fairly bleak picture, isn't it? Obviously, sort of wider backdrop of optimism and fresh hope, which is is the bigger picture, really. From a United angle, obviously, the main interest is Harry Amass. Despite everything, he's done really, really well, hasn't he?
He has. He's been fantastic. And the Steel City derby, which was on Sunday, he came to Hillsborough and didn't really break much of a sweat in winning 3-0, and there's been a lot of understanding around where Wednesday are, in terms of the exodus of players, and a lot of young lads having to come in and perform roles that perhaps they're not ready for. Um, and the team came in for real criticism for the first time over the weekend. And you can understand that with the emotion of what a derby brings, and this, that, and the other. The one player that is almost universally accepted to have come out of the game with real credit is Harry Amass. And he was outstanding, really, right from the off. Particularly in possession, a couple of hairy moments, maybe going the other way. But particularly in possession, he's seems to have really grown in his decision making. The timing decisions around when he goes forward, and that sort of thing. And he played with a sort of embattlement in him. He really flew into a few tackles. It's what you want to see at a derby. And that's been the accusation for Wednesday over the weekend, that there wasn't enough of that, and it fell to a teenager from Manchester United to sort of lead the way.
I mean, he is growing and growing in popularity with fans as well, isn't he? They've really sort of taken him to their heart.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And He's not had it all his own way. The first few weeks, I think that sort of voyage of discovery and education on what the championship is. But yeah, he scored his first senior goal, just before the international break at Southampton. Fantastic goal it was. And yeah, he's really linking up nicely with Barry Bannon, who's sort of the Mr. Sheffield Wednesday, if you like, and has been for a long time. So between them on that left hand side, I was going to say they're really making things happen. When things do tend to go right, in a game for Wednesday, it tends to be in that sort of quadrant. And yeah, the two of them have struck up a good understanding. So I think a big thing, spoke to Henrik Pedersen, the Wednesday manager, about this not long ago, is his ability to put together games, in terms of 90 minutes, and then you're playing on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and then you're going again at the weekend. I think that's where we saw sort of peaks and troughs in his form early doors. But he went away in the international break. He played 3 games for England under 19s, and then came back and put in that performance in a huge game, such as the one on Sunday. So yeah, in terms of all the things that you'd like to see a young player achieve from a loan, he's going about doing that.
And like you say, the England under 19s made his debut. He's made 5 appearances. They've won all of them. Given United's own struggles, particularly down the left flank recently, I think there's even one or two whispers of, oh, we could maybe get him back or whatever. But I think, would you agree the realistic thing is going to be a loan extension for the second half of the season?
I think so. And there sort of were reports that had been already agreed. That's not my understanding. I think that there is an acceptance at both ends of the deal and from the player himself that things are going really well. In terms of his development. But there is a little way to go in terms of renewing that loan and the term. We spoke on the show previously about the terms that Harry and what United are contributing to that loan. But there is a period of uncertainty now in that Sheffield Wednesday don't know who their owners are going to be, and they don't know what's going to be available, and what direction those owners may want things to take. So, and I think until that is clearer, not necessarily till it's done and dusted, but until that's a little clearer, it's difficult to sort that loan out. I would expect it at this stage to get renewed. Um, and I think that's probably the right thing for Harry. I'd say, to get a full season of, like I say, those 3 game championship weeks, straight off the back of a Sheffield derby, you're going down to Millwall on Wednesday. These are the weeks that build character, and then when he goes back to Old Trafford, hopefully he can make a real stab at it.
Brilliant. Alex, that's great. Thank you so much for your time, Tom.
Pleasure as always, mate.